Number of people killed in Libya at the time by Gaddafi in the earlier Benghazi uprising, 250. Genocide. In Syria, to date, there have been 30,000 people killed, according to the UN. Obama stays out. Yeah, he'll give him symbolic support. 7 walkie-talkies were shipped last week, but no real support. So there's a double standard going on here. There's another double standard, and that is that Obama was resolutely behind the Tahrir Square democracy protesters in Egypt, and out goes Mubarak, and in comes the Muslim Brotherhood. And by the way, I do want to point out about that. Right now there's a tussle going on between the Egyptian military and the Muslim Brotherhood for power. Who's Obama supporting? The Brotherhood. Obama is warning the Egyptian military, you guys have got to step aside and turn over power to those guys, or we're going to cut off U.S. aid. Straight out of Obama's mouth. Now, the point I want to make that conservatives and Republicans often miss is the fact that Obama is doing this deliberately. He's not a bungler. There's a book out there, a book I endorsed by Ed Klein, The Amateur. But this is not that. Now, there is an amateur. If you turn the clock back 30 years, we did have a president who was an amateur, Jimmy Carter. Oh, yeah. So if you look at Jimmy Carter's policies in Iran, these were a clear-cut case of pure presidential nincompoopery. So what does Carter do? Carter comes in and he goes, oh, I'm a believer in human rights. Here's the Shah of Iran. He's a dictator. Let's pull the Persian rug out from under him. And oops, he got Khomeini. But Carter didn't know he was going to get Khomeini. Obama knows that by weakening the Muslim Brotherhood, he will help, by weakening the military, he will permit the Muslim Brotherhood, the largest organization of radical Islam, to consolidate his power in Egypt. So that's why he's doing it. Now, what is he doing? If you actually look at, and then I mentioned Obama's support for the democracy movement in Egypt, but there were even bigger demonstrations for democracy in Iran a year earlier. Obama's reaction? We will not support the protesters. We're going to stay out of this one. The supreme leader of Iran is in charge. Let the Iranians sort out their own problems. Why support democracy in Egypt, but not in Iran? To my knowledge, no commentator on the left or the right has explained these contradictions. I offer a theory now that I think you'll see throws a lot of light on the subject. What do the guys who are kicked out have in common? Gaddafi and Mubarak. Answer? They were both allies of or doing business with the United States. Even Gaddafi, outing terrorists, paying reparations for the Lockerbie bomber. What do the guys have in common who Obama has kind of made sure are still in there? Assad, the butcher of Syria, sponsor of Hezbollah, the mullahs in Iran. They are our adversaries. So what is Obama doing again? It's not so simple as Obama's a secret Muslim. I don't think it's given quite right to say he hates America. Rather, what Obama's doing is he's reducing America's footprint in the world because he thinks we've been stepping on the world. From the anti-colonial point of view, the bad guy is not Iran, it's not North Korea, it's the rogue nation, us, the United States of America. Now, I want to leave time for questions and I want to leave time for discussion. But if I'm right about all this, and quite honestly, the thing about the film is that there's not a single fact in the film that has been effectively disputed. The Obama people have been screaming about it, but every fact in the film is true. And yet, there's a peculiarity in our public debate. No one is discussing any of these issues, not even Romney. So what's really going on here? What's really going on here, I believe, is that for a large sector of the influential press, there is a belief that it is morally urgent for America that this man be reelected. And any steps that are taken to make that happen are justified. And all bad information, even if true, must be suppressed. So it's a pathology of our media. It's not the liberal media. The liberal media was pretty tough on Clinton, pretty tough on Carter. This is something above and beyond the normal liberal media. Consider the case of George Obama. A couple of weeks, this is after the film came out. I'm in my apartment, I get a phone call, oh, area code Kenya. So, hello. I feel like I'm on the Bob Newhart show. Hello. it's George Obama. And he's like, Dinesh, he says, I need your help. And I only met George once in February when I went down there to interview him. And he said, I'm at the hospital, I have my 2-year-old kid, he needs some money, he's sick, can you send me $1,000? And initially I was a little suspicious because George is kind of a street smart guy. I'm like, George, are you really at the hospital? You know, hand the phone to the nurse. But he did. And the nurse goes, yeah, you know, George's son is here, he's got a chest contagion, if you can help, that would be great. So I said, okay, George, well, I'll send you $1,000 by Western Union. But before I go, I said, you know, I gotta ask you this. I mean, isn't there somebody else you could call? And George is like, no. And then George says, and this to me is the killer, he goes, you know, Dinesh, you're like a brother to me. So think about this for a minute. I mean, it's not just that George is the half-brother of Barack. It's not just that he's a multi-millionaire. It's not just that he is the most powerful man in the world. It's not just that if he even moved his little finger, George's life would be totally different. It's that Obama has made the centerpiece of his campaign our obligations to people that we don't even know. Our obligations to the needy. And one of Obama's favorite lines is from the Bible. We are our brother's keeper. He's used it over 50 times. We are our brother's keeper. Well, here's his brother, who has a kid, not even for himself, who needs health care. And Obama is nowhere to be found. Okay, now I say to myself, and by the way, this story has not been covered by any major network. It has never been covered by the New York Times. It's never been mentioned in People magazine, even though it's a huge human interest story. I mean, imagine if Mitt Romney's brother lived in a hut. What the reaction would be. So what I'm saying is we are basically dealing with journalists who have stopped being journalists. Even their normal motives of sensationalism, human interest stories, sell more papers, don't matter here. They're trumped by something even bigger. And what is that something that's even bigger? I believe that something that's even bigger is that Obama has been handing out, in a way, for 4 years, what I want to call the racial absolution certificate. He's basically saying, you get to feel like a morally wonderful person by supporting me. And this was, by the way, a political force in 2008. I think it's less now, but it's widely felt in the media. And if you think of guys like, you know, I think of like poor Chris Matthews. Now, in defense of Chris Matthews actually is a pretty hard-boiled guy. He was chief of staff for Tip O'Neill. He kind of came up politically with the longshoremen of Boston and the bars and so on. So he's a tough guy, actually. But not with Obama. When you see Chris Matthews talking about Obama, he becomes embarrassingly effeminate. He starts talking something about thrills running up his leg. It's very unnatural behavior, really. So why? Why? Is it that Chris Matthews is enraptured? Is he taken by Obama? No, I don't believe so. Chris Matthews is actually enraptured at himself. Because what Obama's giving him is the ability to pat himself on the back. Hey Chris, you get to be an ethically spectacular person by supporting Obama. So this is a sort of moral investment that many people in our media have in this political campaign. They have a stake in it. They've dropped all their critical faculties. They are essentially unpaid propagandists for the Obama campaign. And so this puts us in a difficult position. We're fighting not only the Obama wing, but fighting kind of the media.